to take you through the gap analysis in relation to ISO 27001, which is an information security management system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Maybe can I know, Andre, who you are and where you are located?
Yes. Okay. Andre is the ICTKM specialist at AFAS. I'm actually based in Madagascar.
Okay.
So I work remotely.
Okay. Do you have anyone there with you? Anyone else, or you alone?
Yeah, so Esther is there. Kenneth is there. Yeah, maybe we can hear more from them.
Okay.
Directly from them. Yeah.
All right. No problem. I think we shall just start immediately for the sake of time, and the rest we shall discuss as we go by. Andre, have you heard of ISO 27000 before, or any other standard in relation to ISO?
Yes, I've heard a lot about ISO, but more in the agricultural sector.
Okay. All right. This standard, like I said, is about information security. I'm going to share a short page here that I'm going to brief you. Just a minute.
So maybe in the meantime, Esther and Kenneth can introduce themselves, because it's important that you know whom are participating in this webinar.
Yes.
Especially Kenneth, who is the IT person.
Okay.
So Kenneth and Esther, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Kenneth.
Good morning, Anita. Good morning, Andre and and Esther.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Andrew, my name is Kenneth Arach. I'm the IT person for AFAS. I'm based in Kampala office here.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we have met before.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Esther Michala. I sit here at the AFAS Secretariat. I am the administrator, that's my title, but my responsibilities are in human resource management, office administration, and I also support the other teams as far as operations are concerned. So I support the Command E, the procurement, the finance. I'm in the center of the oiling system here in AFAS Secretariat. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. All right, let's start. I'll just give you a brief about ISO 27001 in the slide that I've put on screen. Hope you all see it.
Yeah.
ISO, come again? Do you all see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah, ISO 27001 is an information security standard. And it's an ISO-based standard, just like any other standards in the different sectors of like health and safety, environment, data security, and so many other standards in food security and so on. There are thousands of standards, but this is specific to information security. It's applicable to any organization because, as we all know, organizations do process information and they use it for their own day-to-day and continuous management of the business. Hence, this information needs to be protected. So ISO came up with a global standard that can be applied by any organization. And this means that if you perform or operate your business to this standard, it means you can partner or work with any other organization or company or partner in any part of the world who is also implementing or operating his business to the same standard. So these are basically requirements that you need to apply to better manage the security of your information. And of late, it's becoming really of priority in so many businesses, and simply because of the growth in technology. So it's not a surprise that many organizations are now taking it up. And again, due to the growth of technology, then also the risk to information has also growing at a very high speed. So the need for standardization comes in handy. This standard has existed for some time, and this is the second version, which was published in 2018. The first standard version was in 2005. So it has been there, but it has not been that much utilized. But of late, it's really picking up and actually coming to the level of the other quality management standards. What is the focus of this standard? This standard focuses on 3 elements of information security, and that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So wherever you hear the word information security, or whenever someone is talking of information security, these are the 3 elements you should think of. It's either protecting the confidentiality of the information, or the integrity, or the availability of the information. So even as we do the analysis, the assessment below, we shall need to think in terms of availability, for example, of our server, the availability of our website, the availability of whatever system we are using, depending on what you have, and the confidentiality. So we shall use the word information security or security, but this is the perspective from which we shall be speaking. Confidentiality basically means information is what? Is not disclosed to unauthorized people, or only authorized people having access to the information. And integrity means basically that the information is not tampered with or modified without authorization, meaning that only authorized people should modify or edit the information as they are allowed. Then availability is about access, that when I need to access the website, it's available. That when I need to do printing, or I need a file or a document, I can access it so long as I'm authorized. Then the other element that is not really emphasized but is also implied is in relation to compliance, which would come in form of the requirements of the regulator. If the organization is regulated, or if the information you deal with is regulated, for example, financial information, then compliance also comes in hand, because you need to comply with the regulatory or contractual requirements as you agreed with the other interested party. So generally, that is what information security is all about. I don't know if at this point you have a question, but as we go through the assessment, I'll be discussing more details for you to appreciate. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Andrew.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you. No question for now.
No question, eh? Okay, that's good. All right, I'm going to stop the sharing because it might a bit confuse you in my questionnaire, and I'll just be asking questions as you answer. Just before I proceed, briefly, Andrew, just tell me about AFAS in like a minute, what it is about, the structure, the number of employees, just in like a minute.
Andrew?
I think Esther is the one who is in best position to to summarize AFAS, because she's the administrator.
Okay.
And she has been there much longer than me.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe if Esther can help a little bit on this.
All right. Esther, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, just tell me about AFAS in a minute. What it does, the structure, the number of employees, just briefly.
AFAS is a continental body
Yes.
that was set up to bring together extension, agricultural extension and advisory service actors in Africa. So basically, AFAS is an umbrella body.
Okay.
We operate actively in about 21 countries. And the structure of AFAS is that we have the General Assembly, which is convened by annually after every 2 years when they hold the Africa-wide Extension Week. The General Assembly comprises of members of the AFAS within the countries that AFAS is actively engaged in.
Okay.
And AFAS works through country fora. The structure of AFAS is from the General Assembly, we have the board, and then after the board, there is the Secretariat, which is now where we are seated, AFAS offices at Chigobe Road. And then AFAS works through country fora in the number of countries that they are active. Yes, so you'll find that in Uganda, we have, for instance, Uganda Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services. In Kenya, we have Kenya Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, KEFAS. So offhand, the number there is Uganda, Kenya, Malawi.
It's
Tanzania
okay.
is still in formation. We have Nigeria, Ghana, Mali, Ethiopia, Sudan. Yeah, those are the ones I can remember of head. Liberia, I think also. So to mention those I can get easily of head.
It's okay. Basically 21.
Yes.
In 21 countries.
Yes.
Okay.
So now AFAS, the 21 countries are legal entities. They are mandated. Because when you go through the structure and the formation of the country fora, those are legal entities. They are mandated to conduct their businesses legally in their countries. Some of them have their own offices, others use host institutions. Yes. So in the Secretariat here, due to funding, we have a lean staff of about 12. And then the other members are working as consultants. We have the three, Andre, Samson, and Nesta, who are part of us, but they are given like consultancy contracts due to availability of funding. So they are teleworkers that we have.
Okay.
And then the other activities are basically handled through consultancies.
Okay.
Like M&E, like internal audit. Yeah, we have some volunteers in the program sections who are not permanent staff, but they also do day-to-day activities of AFAS.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So should I say, or okay, the way I've understood, like for Andrew's case, he's a consultant. So is he managing is he doing his consulting for all the within the 21 member countries?
Yes, he does.
Okay, then each organization in the member countries would have like a team. Like,
yes. They have their own structure. They also hold their general assemblies. They elect their chairperson.
A 90 person.
They have their chairperson. The most active people in the country fora are the chairpersons, then the focal point persons, the CI KM facilitators.
Mm.
Yes, and the accountants, the finance people.
Oh,
Yes, but they all have their own different board, the structures also. They have their own governance bodies.
okay.
Yes.
I get it. All right. I'll refer to that description in the coming assessment because I'll need to understand more to that. All right. When we talk of information security, the first thing you need to understand is the business environment you are operating in, or the environment you perform your work in. Yeah, and it's always important first understand that context. Okay, to understand the people the stakeholders you work with, risks that are related to your kind of work that would impact the security of your information, and try to understand what best controls or mitigation measures you need to put in place to protect your information. So the first section of the standard, okay, the first clause of the standard is basically to understand the interested parties that you work with who have information security requirements that AFAS needs to enforce or comply with. As an example, you've talked about the board or the General Assembly. I will use it to that. I will use those two examples. Do they have any information security requirements? Or do you have any binding, are there any binding agreements from your partners outside the structure, like funders or any other partners? And do they specify any kind of confidentiality or data or privacy clauses that you need to comply with as you do your work?
We have the constitution. We all that the board. Actually, there are other those documents that when the board are elected, they are taken through orientation, the AFAS policies, the constitution, the General Assembly also has its own rules and regulations that they are given during their induction. For instance, in November 2019, they elected the board. By the way, for your own information, the board comprises of about 14 members. The 15th member is the AFAS executive director, who is the secretary to the board. Yes, so that means they are about 15 in our top management, and they are elected from all, just at random. They can say, for instance, northern, northeast, central, then southern, west. So there is representation from all the African countries. Yes, the networks. Yes.
Okay.
So the board, they are appointed with the mandate given by the AFAS constitution. AFAS also has the memorandum and articles of association that the board are given, and some of those things are spelled out. So when you become a member, you know the constitution will be binding you with all its terms and conditions.
Okay, I understand. Are there any other interested parties in your information? Interested parties, like I say, these are stakeholders. As an example, any other partners, for example, funders, or any other groups of people. Of course, employees are interested parties, but there are some outside entities you might be dealing with.
Yes, the funders, in this case, the project document normally is a very long document that stipulates what the funder wants AFAS to do in executing their duties. So some of these items are actually spelled out by the funders themselves.
The document is called what?
Sorry?
The document is called what?
The project document.
Yes.
And of course, when time comes and they are signing the grant agreements, all those terms and conditions will be put in as how do we do the communication, knowledge management, the reporting.
Yes.
So the guidelines are there. Besides, now AFAS's internal policies also.
They're part of that.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are some instances where you will find, and Ray can bail me out here, that the fund can determine how they want their communication visibility and
Exactly.
reports to be given. They can even give you a format and say, this is how we want you to report. And we
Exactly.
cannot, that one now overrules the AFAS one, maybe the
Okay.
AFAS templates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about from the government? Are you regulated by the government, and under which ministry or government organization?
Yes, AFAS is a legal entity in Uganda. It is a company registered with the URSB. We are also working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. So whatever we do in collaboration with MAIF, the Directorate of Extension in MAIF. That's why you'll find many of our activities, we have to go through the Director of Extension in MAIF. So we are not a standalone, but we do a lot of work collaboratively. And you'll notice that, for instance, in Uganda, where WUFAS is very active, WUFAS works very closely with MAIF, and they sometimes even sign MOUs to implement some activities together.
That's what I wanted. So you sign MOU. Okay. Okay. So these are like the binding documents between you and the MAIF.
Yes.
Okay, that is good. Okay. What we are discussing is basically what we call interested parties. And through these MOUs, through these project guidelines or policies, the constitution, if you read them, you find that they have certain clauses or requirements in relation to information security.
Yes.
And just to elaborate a bit on information security, like we said, it's about confidentiality, availability, and integrity. But information security is looking at different assets of information. And it's not only documents or electronic records, as you might know, or information on a website or your database. It will go beyond that, and it will look at the people, okay? The personnel who are processing this information. That's where now employees and consultants all come in that you need to control these people or see that you have binding documents to guide on how information is going to be managed, because they access organizations' information. Then information also includes services like internet, okay? Because right now, if internet is off, we cannot be able to proceed with this program. So the service itself is an asset that needs to be made available, okay? So availability is security. And then of course, any other services that like electricity, because people need to work, machines need to run, and paper documents, how you store them in your offices, whether they are safe, the environment, and so many other things. So the interested parties might, depending on the organization context, like you say. Now yours is a bit unique, but it has also interested parties. But what they need is basically defined in the different binding agreements that are in place. So how complex or less complex or more complex it would be, it all depends on what they want. Okay, that's why you mentioned something that regarding reports, they ask for a certain format and supersedes what is defined in the high-level documents. So that is their requirement, and there's a reason why they need it. Okay, so the standard requires you to analyze those interested parties and understand their requirements in order to be able to protect their information. Then after that, you also need to understand the issues surrounding the organization. Yes, if you need to protect our information assets, what are the constraints? What are the limitations, okay, that might influence or might hinder our ability to protect our information? You get, as an example, you might be doing a lot of paper documents, but you don't have a safe room or office or safe cabinets to store information. So someone can identify that as an issue, that unless we improving this area of storage of these paper documents, it's going to remain an issue. Yeah. So we need to understand the constraints that might impact our ability to secure information. Like another example, the computers we use. Do we have servers? Are they reliable servers? Okay, is our system secure? You know, do we have personnel that are well competent to manage the existing systems and ensure the information is safe? Do we need to train these people? Is the organization structure enough to support the size of the information we have? Leadership commitment, you know, so many issues. It's more like a risk assessment, okay? That we want to protect this, but we have an issue here. And then also the positives. You have to look at your strength. So in most cases, this is done in form of a SWOT analysis. You look at your strength, something that you say, we have a very competent team, okay? We have a very secure server environment. Our information is safe. We have very good controls as far as access to our system information is concerned. We have a very good training program. Management commitment is very good. They support us, they train us. They always driving the program to ensure that information is protected. So it's more of a risk assessment. And it's from that you understand the risks and then come up with better measures. Something I didn't mention, you are protecting the CIA, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But you are protecting the CIA of the information assets. The only way you have to protect that is to understand the risks. And the risks will come in form of the business and then the risks related to the assets themselves. And then you take up the better controls, okay? All right, then have you defined the scope or the boundaries where you need your information security to apply? The scope, I mean, is it going to cover all the, for example, is it going to apply for the entire, for all organizations in the 21 countries, or is it going to apply, yes, in the 21 countries, but in a specific department, or is going to apply only in a specific country for a particular organization? That is how a scope is defined, and this must be documented. I would assume it's not there, but it's one of the requirements we need to put in place. You can advise me if you had already agreed on that. But the fact that Andre is here and is managing the group, I would say, I would assume that the scope is going to cover the entire member organizations, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And within the member organization, it's going to cover basically the entire organization, so not specific department, but the entire organization.
When you talk about organization, is it the AFAS network or the CADEP XP4? Because we have in the AFAS network, it's not only at the secretarial level, it's with the country fora.
Yes.
And Yeah, and at another level, you've dealt with the other CADEPEX before members like the CRAF, the Azarica, and the CARDESA.
Yes.
So with which stakeholder or network members partners do you want us to discuss with?
Okay. The scope is always a business decision. Where do you want to implement this management system? What boundaries? If you want it to apply at the secretariat level, then that is your decision. If you want it to, if it's applying to the secretariat level, it means it's applying also to the country forums. If I understood the structure, isn't it?
The country fora have their independence, but we can influence them, of course. You can do something at the secretarial level. If you have the resource, you can do more, of course, than at the country fora level. Yeah.
Yes.
That's just the concern.
Okay, this is something we shall define when you are doing the implementation, actually from the training stage, to understand where it's going to pass. Yeah, it's not an issue, but I was just giving you that when you're defining a scope, it might not need to cover everything. You just need to, if you want to cover everything, it's okay, but you can also define a scope to a limit to a certain group or a certain department. This is something we shall define. But I'm sure the fact that Andre, you are here and you are overall, I'm sure you are taking it as for the entire Trent One forums, that they also need to implement this information. It's part of their requirement now. Yes. All right. Then there is leadership. And this is the reason I asked about, one of the key reasons I asked about the structure. Leadership is the key element of information security and management of information. A leader is a person who is basically the overall overseer on the implementation of the information security. Just like, I'll use an example, CEO or managing director. Information security management starts with that person or that level. If it's the board and they're involved in the day-to-day operation of the business, then it starts with them. And their commitment should be demonstrated on a day-to-day basis. They are the driving forces, and it all starts with them. If they don't commit to the initiative, you will not expect the lower management or staff to also commit. And one of their requirements of commitment is they must define an information security policy. I don't know if you have any information security policy or any IT policy defined currently.
As far as I know, there isn't, but maybe Kenneth can add on that because he's the IT officer. Kenneth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Apparently, we don't have. I'm just in the process of drafting one for AFAS, but
Okay.
by the time of joining, there wasn't any in place. So.
Okay. This shall need to be defined as part of your implementation, and it has to be approved by the top leadership. This is the one that sets the direction of where the organization, where it wants to go and what it needs to be enforcing going forward. It's always a high-level policy, one page. It's not detailed. It's a one-page document, and should be signed, approved, and then communicated to all stakeholders, all employees, to understand the top management direction as far as ISMS, or information security management, is concerned. Then another requirement for leadership on how they commit to information security management is that they must appoint people to operate and also report on the performance of information security. So they must, the fact that Kenneth, you're there, the fact that Andrew, you are there, the fact that Esther, you are there, that is done, okay? But the question is, do you have defined job descriptions, clearly defining your roles? If Kenneth, you are the IT officer, do you have a job description clearly defining your roles and responsibilities in that position? If it's outsourced, like for Andre, who is a consultant, is the agreement in place and clearly defining your roles and responsibilities, and if information security responsibilities clearly specified within those job descriptions. Okay. So Kenneth, do you have a job description?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that is good. Just at a high level, what does it include?
How do you mean?
Like role-wise or responsibilities, you can tell me that it has elements related to security, it has elements related to, okay, just brief me what is in your job description. What it says.
Of course, yeah, one, it's to provide technical support to our staff.
Okay.
To another role is to maintain the security of the IT infrastructure.
Okay.
Provide I need to look at the roles again. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, they are quite vast. They're quite vast. So
okay.
Just yeah.
All right. So in that case, you are complying because what the standard wants is documentation. If you don't have documentation, even if you are doing everything as supposed to be, you cannot give assurance to the other party that you are actually doing what you are supposed to do. So everything has to be defined and communicated to the people concerned. So that is okay. And again, also for Andre of the consultants who are providing services, their agreements or contracts should clearly define their information security requirements. And these, in most cases, come in form of privacy policies or clauses, confidentiality agreements, and also if they are doing any other bit of like technical operations, they are clearly defined, okay? But this is fine. The next stage is about planning. You've understood your business context, the constraints, the limitations. You've defined or understood the scope where it's supposed to cover. You've defined your policy. You've allocated the people who are going to operate the system, and you are ready. Basically, you planned. But one thing you haven't done is to clearly define the risks or identify the risk to your information assets. And in this case, the first thing you have to do is to really identify your information assets. Information assets, like I said, it can include electronic information, paper, documents. It can include people, okay? Like Kenneth, you are an information asset, okay? If you are not available today, or for some reason, something happened, we might have been lost time or not even had this meeting. Andre, you are an information asset, okay? So you know a lot of information about the system, processes of the organization. Esther has a lot of information, like she has said. So you are also assets and you need to be protected and managed. The services that you use to drive your business, okay? outsourced services, including security and all that stuff. All those need to be managed. So you need to assess the risks in relation to those information assets, depending on their location. So I don't know if you've done any kind of risk assessment. What I know that you guys have a knowledge, okay, you have a knowledge management program, I'll say. I don't know to what extent have you done a risk assessment in relation to that, because I believe in that area, you should have touched some bit of IT security or information security. So you can advise me and where it has been documented. Esther? Hello?
Yeah, maybe I can help here a little bit.
Okay.
About the risk assessment in the KM and the IT security. We've done something maybe not very formal.
Which is okay.
Yeah, some kind of diagnosis of the situation at AFAS. I think I did it last year in February, and Kenneth did another one in October or November. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just the beginning, but it has to be more kind of systematized. We've just done it, not using very structured approach.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so how did you document it?
In a report. For me, it was in a report, and for Kenneth also, he wrote a report on that.
Okay, and was this report, who was the recipient of this report, or it's still with you?
And of course, it has been shared to the management staff and to the ED.
Okay. Have you received any feedback from them?
Yes, sure, we have. And even most of the improvements that are under development or already implemented has been the result of these risk assessments in the past.
Okay, that's good. Just give me one significant risk in relation to IT security that you identified. Just one.
Well, Kenneth is in better position to talk about that. I think he has been dealing with the internet, with the server, and so on. Over to you, Kenneth. Okay, it seems Kenneth is.
Hello. Yes. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, Kenneth. Andrea said that you've done some risk assessment in relation to IT and also produced a report last year. So I just wanted for you to identify for me, just to tell me one significant risk in relation to IT that you identified during the process. Okay. Yeah, just one.
Security of the network. There's no current right now. We don't have any firewall in place, so we cannot safeguard the internal network safely because of lack of that equipment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that is good. Yeah. So that report you produced, both of you, it will be a starting point when you are implementing this. The process basically has to be defined, like Henry said, it was an informal assessment, really. So we need to define a proper methodology, which as per the standard, and then we need to assess the risks and rank them to understand the level at which they are. You might have a risk, but on a scale of 1 to 5, it's 1. Then for another risk, it's 5. So this will help us to prioritize what controls we need to implement first and what we need to implement last. Okay, we shall get to that and work on that. Then you also need to define information security objectives and plans. Again, these should be driven by the risk assessment. So if I'm going to use the example you've given, Kenneth, for the firewall, what you shared the report to the staff, management staff and the ED, what plan have you come up with to address that risk and what timelines?
We have sourced some quotations from vendors, and I'm yet to present this to procurement for them to undertake their procurement processes to be able to purchase that equipment.
Okay, that is fine. The standard requires you to define the information security objectives, and this is usually done after risk assessment, after understanding your exposure. So you need to define clear, smart objectives, smart like simple, measurable, achievable, and time-bound objectives. That's why when you define a plan, you must have a time when you need to have it done or executed. Okay. So annually, you are going to be defining objectives for information security. For example, in relation to the number of incidents, okay, related to IT in a given period. And then you set a plan. For example, you install a firewall by this time. And then you measure and see that after this period, how many incidents have we recorded? And then you use that information to measure your performance or get your performance based on the previous performance and see whether there is improvement. So this is also helping you to understand the improvements that you are achieving as far as security of your information is concerned. Okay, so this is another element that is very key that we need to define. You need to know what you need to measure in order to understand how secure you are. Okay. As you do all that, as you operate your IT, as you try to come up with different measures or plans to improve your systems, improve the people and all that stuff, management must provide resources. So this brings me to another requirement of the standard, which is called support. Support is about provision of resources to ensure that the plans and objectives can be achieved. Okay, so it's management's responsibility to ensure that resources are provided. So using that example, you've said you've obtained quotations and then you need to do the next stage. At the end of the day, management has to support you. So management has to purchase, to provide funds and then anything necessary as you ask. So resource provision is a requirement. This can be evidenced, of course, through what has been done, like even receipts, invoices, and all that stuff, and even trainings you provide. Competence, 3 people must be trained. For example, if you set up a new system, you might need to train the staff or the users or the employees on how to use a certain system. Awareness, you set the objective, you set the policy above that we've discussed. Employees and any other stakeholders need to understand what the policy states in order for them to do their work in line with that policy. Even if they are consultants, if you have made any change or you come up with any measure as far as their operations are concerned, until you inform them of that requirement, they will not know and they will continue doing things the way they understand them. So you need to come out and do that kind of awareness. So awareness is commonly done in form of communication, in form of email, trainings, whatever means that even meetings, whatever means you use to disseminate information. And with the fact that you have the knowledge management system, I'm sure dissemination or sharing of information is part of it. So that is where awareness is done for people to understand what is required of them in order to comply. Before, if you don't do that awareness, again, it won't be managed. And this is still management responsibility. Again, that brings us to communication. You need also to have a communication plan. I don't know if you have one in the knowledge management system, but in information street, you also need to have a communication plan. As an example, who communicates what, when, and what does he communicate? So you need to have a plan. Do you have any in the knowledge management program, apparently? A communication strategy, kind of.
Yes, we have a communication strategy, which is, I think, which needs to be also updated. But we do have, yeah.
Okay. What is its version? When was it last updated?
I think it was in 2017 or 18.
2018, eh?
Yes.
Or 17?
Yeah.
Okay. That shall be improved. Again, one thing I'm going to just emphasize is that knowledge management and information security, they have requirements that apply to both of them. So you'll find that what you're already doing there is already satisfying certain requirements inside. Okay, but there are some that are uniquely different and they'll be handled separately. Okay, then do you have a document management system? Do you have like a system where you have?
This is something that is under the construction, also under development. In fact, the funder has put it as one mandatory requirement for the project implementation for the CADEP XP4. So actually the administration at, maybe Esther can explain more about that. What is ongoing about the document management system?
And how it works, how it's going to work. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Esther?
Yes, on that document management system, we developed terms of reference, and the management agreed that we should hire a firm to do our archiving. They are going to set up a whole system. It is in process. We got the quotations and we are in the middle of finalizing with the procurement process, so that a firm will be hired to do that and also train the relevant staff who will be managing after that. Okay. Then on the communication, we are also making a standalone policy. Yes, it was embedded in some of the policies where you just find maybe a section mentioning how to communicate, ICT, email, use of email, all those things are either in our operations manual or others are in our HR manual. But towards the end of last year, we started constructing a standalone policy to cater for that. And from that policy, we are also extracting table of authority, because we have noted that some people communicate the way they want. Somebody gets an email and copies to whom it may concern. So what we are currently doing, we are working on a table of authority that will be reviewed in the next board meeting, which is soon. And then once that has been approved by the board, we shall communicate to all staff the table of authority, who has to do what, where do you have to go when you are on our website, for example, what do you have to comment, that kind of thing. So the table of authority is under construction. documenting and
Perfect.
archiving under construction, and then
Okay.
the communication and ICT policy also under construction.
Perfect. That table of authority actually will bring out exactly what the standard was from what you've mentioned. Okay. And do you provide trainings to people, employees, and what kind of trainings have you provided in the last 1 year at least? Any training? Esther?
That is broad. We have had a number of training. Actually, last year we had some assessments carried out. But besides the bigger document on that assessment, we also have been doing a lot of in-house trainings, like Andre shared yesterday. We were trained on how to use social media platforms. We were trained on financials, how to, what the do's and the don'ts in the Cardiff XP project. How do we handle requests? How do we do the returns and accountabilities and the reports? We were also trained on procurement processes. And there are some trainings that we didn't do last year and they were carried forward, but they were embedded in the annual work plan for this year, the work plan and budget. That is also being, normally the Secretariat raises it and then it is approved by the board. So we have that document that is guiding our activities already embedded. The trainings are embedded.
Are there any training related to technical trainings that would benefit Kenya in that program?
Sorry?
In those trainings that you've done or in your training plans, are there trainings that would also benefit to Kenya technically as an IT personnel, internal IT personnel?
Yes, most of these trainings, by the way, Kenneth is involved. But maybe between Kenneth and Andre, since Kenneth is still on his induction period, maybe Kenneth would be in position to answer that because he's the one who directly implements and he could be facing some challenges in his work. Kenneth.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Okay, seems Kenneth is not there. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes, Kenneth.
Hello, Andrew.
Yes,
can you repeat the question? Sorry, I'm up and down. Yeah, sorry.
All right. Okay, fine. I was asking, have you received any trainings, technical trainings internally from AFAS to support you in your operations?
Yeah, I received one training from Andre regarding the website management, where it took me through the AFAS website and manage it effectively. So I got from Andre.
Okay, that is good. Do you have a register where you keep all these trainings that you've done? How is the information kept? Where someone can go and find that at least in 2020 you did all these trainings? Yeah.
Yeah. Like some of these trainings that we have online, we have them recorded and archived into to either our G Suite drive or to our YouTube channel, so that can be shared to other users if they need to get that training.
Oh, that's perfect. And have you been communicated to? Have you been informed about the policies of the company in relation to HR and other operations?
About
Policies of the
about the
company in
policies?
relation to HR. Yeah, of the company in relation to
Yes,
HR.
yes. Yes, upon joining, I was given the HR manual to go through and my introduction.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the awareness that I was talking about. Okay, we talked about the risk assessment. Then my next question will be about, okay, what kind of reports do you generate technically when it comes to IT, and how often?
Yeah. Of course, when I joined, my first report was an inception report that I provided to management. But regarding my day-to-day duties, at least I
Yes.
have to report at least monthly to my supervisors. Yeah, so I can put them in writing and or communicate on email to them, at least so that I can satisfy at least probably 50% of my terms of reference.
Okay.
So that is documented. At least I give that report at least monthly.
You said they are email or documented email reports? Or
Yeah.
do you have like
reports, yeah.
do you have like okay, you type on the interface, or you have like a template that covers the different sections of it?
Yeah, just on the email body, yeah.
Okay, we shall need to improve on that, because you have to look at all the systems you have and then have proper reporting design on the performance of each of these areas: security, performance, maintenance, all those things. So we shall just have, based on what you are doing, we can just make it better. Okay. Do you do internal audits internally for your operations?
Internal audits?
Yeah, for your operations, like auditing your processes and procedures to ensure that they are being complied with, or they are operating as required.
I think that's where the standards that I was talking about has to come into play. Once we have one proper document of the IT standards, then we can have at least a benchmark on how to at least audit our systems and so they're compliant with that document.
Okay, so what kind of audits does the organization do? Are they only finance audits?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe Esther can answer that. I think it's mostly finance and procurement. So.
Esther?
Hello?
Yes, Esther, I was asking about internal audits. Does the organization perform internal audits for your operations and processes, or is it limited to only financial accounts audits?
Actually, we discussed this also yesterday, and basically the mandatory one I've been seeing they are doing is the compliance financial audits by the internal and external auditors. And we also noticed that apart from our routine performance appraisals done on employees once a year, maybe the other audits can only be reported by M&E, but basically as we have been operating, we noticed that that was a gap that we needed to have some assessment tools. For instance, Joanita talked of after we really got some trainings last year, yes. But then she was asking, did we have any record to show that, yes, Andre conducted the For example, the easiest was social media platform training. But then she asked whether we had done any assessment, which we were like, no, maybe by just seeing some output on some CF websites and their social networking platforms. So she guided that we should maybe do interviews, we should have some assessments that are documented.
To ensure that
We have noted we are going to take charge of that.
Okay.
Specifically audits with in relation to the KM now.
Okay.
It has been lacking, that one to say. We have just been taking it that, yes, we have been trained. For instance, I told you we have gone through financials, we have gone through procurements, but after 2 months, reports come and you still find errors. So that shows that maybe not everybody understands when we are doing these trainings.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, that's where the evaluation of the effectiveness of the training is required. And the internal audit is also a major requirement that shall need to be planned annually, periodically, and conducted. This will help you to improve every issue that come up. So one of the responsibilities you might need to do is to appoint an internal auditor who can be personnel at a high level who will be trained in internal auditing. Or it's a process that you can also outsource. We shall again that will
now have it. Sorry.
Come again.
We have an outsourced internal auditor who comes in and does the audit. Maybe what we do, that's why yesterday I was saying this training, I think Andre was specific on knowledge management from his communication point of view. But I noticed that each member of our secretariat, since we are very few, we all have a role to play in our knowledge management and communication. The employees should have been part of this, at least the M&E, the partnership, and then procurement. They really needed, all the program people need this because they receive reports. I will give you an example. We were making calendars and then I started looking for photographs. To be honest, for 2 months, I failed to get the appropriate photos I wanted for the calendar. And that shows that there is a big gap between communication and knowledge management. You see, nobody takes responsibility that now they have taken photos. This is a workshop report. Who puts now the final document into the depository for anyone to access?
Okay, it's fine. This is why the standard is here, and it will help you improve on such, issues. And again, like I told you at the beginning, when you're identifying issues, those are some of the things you look at a high level, and you need to involve the people because they know better how the things are really behaving or working. And how often do you carry out meetings, like department or company meetings, to review performance, basically? How often?
For instance, if we talk of 2018, 2020, up to 2020, like last year, we had meetings almost every Monday. And
so those
that
are
meeting was, sorry?
Those are like weekly meetings.
Weekly, but they were general, the Mondays ones, because every department, every office was to give updates on what transpired the previous week, what was pending, and the forecast for the week. And then in between, there would be technical meetings, some arising from the outcomes of the Monday meetings. But now I don't attend most of those technical meetings. I don't know whether they were evaluating what they did previously after reporting to the general meeting or not. Not sure if Andre could beef up on that, but we really have so many meetings.
Okay, which are about monthly? Annually, quarterly.
Now,
Yeah,
our admin section,
Mm,
we have monthly meetings
mm.
that we also, after our meeting, we report a section of our findings to the general meetings. So admin, I'll tell you, we have been having monthly meetings.
Okay.
Yes.
Andre, in relation to technical meetings, what kind of meetings do you do, and what are some of the agendas or issues you discuss in these meetings?
well, as Esther already mentioned, we have the weekly, which is general, and sometimes from the general, there are some announcement or some additional information. It can come from higher management or from funders or from partners, and then we have to organize a very specific technical meeting. Uh, Maybe one of the most recent one was about MNE, the mail at AFAS.
Mm,
So the technical meeting was triggered by the head of the department, of the MNE department, by the
mm,
consultants who requested some discussion and inception meeting and planning meetings. So
mm.
these are the
Oh,
type of content that we discuss about in the technical meetings, and it can happen anytime. Sometimes once a month,
okay.
sometimes twice a week.
Okay, okay. That's what I wanted to know. The schedule, okay. Depending on an issue that has come up, you can raise in the technical meeting. All right. And then from these meetings, do you undertake measures, and how fast are these measures addressed, and how do you record what you are going to do, what you have agreed, and take action to work on it? Do you produce minutes, and are these minutes disseminated? What happens after?
Yes, sure. It always happens like that. We even for informal meetings,
Mm,
me and Kenneth, for instance, we have some informal meetings sometimes. Sometimes even late in the night. We discuss about the IT security or the IT architecture at AFAS and so on. And then he
mm,
documents it, and he submit some proposals or any
mm,
recommendations to the
mm.
AFAS secretariat.
Okay, that is good. Okay. There's something I wanted to ask here. Okay, I'll get to that point later. All right, now there are some technical controls or requirements that these are pure. Okay, most of these are really IT related requirements, apart from a few which I will just need to understand. Already I have some information from what you've mentioned, so some are not. You said you don't have any IT policies apart from what you're trying to document, but you have some HR policies defined in the HR manual, because you've mentioned the HR manual. Esther?
That's right.
Okay, what are some of the policies in this manual that what does it talk about basically in a brief?
For instance, in communication, we have use of AFAS equipment, ICT, use of computers.
So there's a communication policy
It is embedded within the
embedded.
bigger policy. Yes.
Okay.
And also like communication channels, whom do you report to? When do you have to say what? All those things are spelled out in the HR manual.
Oh, okay. That is
Mhm.
good. Does it talk about working remotely, teleworking, use of mobile devices? Does it mention
Yes.
all that?
Yes, it
Okay.
is there in the HR manual.
Do you all guys have contracts? All employees of us have contracts?
Yes.
Okay. If you're hiring a new person, what is the process? Is it defined in the manual?
Yes, it is in the operations manual also. A bit of it is in the HR manual, but is in the operations manual also after raising the TORs and is approved, depending on the nature of work. There are those that are actually like senior positions. We even involve the board in the selection process. But if there are these local staff, mid or support staff, that one we are mandated to handle within the secretariat. But if there are senior positions, we involve a consultant, we also involve the board members. There are hierarchies of what to do when recruiting specific officials.
Okay. That is fine. And then, okay, you said you do. Does it define a disciplinary process in case of violation of organizational policies?
It not to detail, but there are misconduct, gross misconduct, there are punishments, whether dismiss or whether suspension while on probation. All those things are there.
In the HR manual?
Yes.
Okay. It has policies in relation to
That employee separation, there are categories of how employees separate until then you conduct the exit interviews and then you give them a certificate of completion of the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said it has policies in relation to asset management.
Yes.
How you use assets and all those things.
Yes, how you use of first assets. They are all there.
Okay.
And how you hand over. It's from acquisition until separation.
Okay. Where is the inventory of assets stored? Who has the inventory of your assets? And does it combine both technical and other general assets like furniture and all that stuff?
Yes, it is combined. It is managed under finance and administration.
Okay.
When we receive an item, the finance people give us a code, and then the administration takes up the engraving. So when we receive items for office, we ensure all are recorded in the assets register, and then the physical ones are engraved. Yes.
Okay. Does it also contain policies related to access controls to the network or IT systems? Like if we want to access your Wi-Fi, does it define a policy what process someone should go through before it is given access to your Wi-Fi network? Does it define those technical controls in relation to access to systems?
Now that is the one we told you we are constructing, because we noticed the other one is more of like generic, having the basics. That is why we are now trying to carve it out from the general one to those specifics. And I think by end of February or so, we should be able to have a working document in relation to that
So it's
for presentation to the board for approval.
it's going to be part of the document management.
Yes.
Okay. Mm. Kenneth,
Sorry, I don't see Kenneth on his desk. Where is he?
Okay. Okay, I think Andre can advise on this. It's okay. Andre, where do you apply encryption in your systems, or to which systems do you apply encryption?
You mean encryption, security encryption, eh? Not
Yes.
physical, but data and so on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because actually because we don't have policy on anything on that. Even our external hard drives and our server, I don't know if the new server is there already. Maybe Kenneth should be the one who answers that, but AFAS plan to have a new server with a new backup drive and so on. So it should be there. Encryption should be in these areas. But for now, I don't think there is any encryption on any data at AFAS.
Okay, do you use VPN?
Oh yeah, about internet, yeah, of course. No, there's no, we don't have any VPN. We don't have any public IP address also for now. We just rely on our on the ISP, and to put we just use their encryption, if we can call it like that, and to connect.
Okay. So apparently, if I need to access your server, what would be the process? How would you give me rights to access it if I want to check some? I assume I'm an auditor. I need to verify something.
Yeah, you won't be able to access AFAS server remotely for now. Because we don't even have a service operating system. We don't have the appropriate infrastructure. We don't have an IP address. The server that you can access is not based at AFAS, but on the cloud, like the Google Cloud Drive, where we put some data. And also, for instance, on our website, web portal, where we have a knowledge base with all the document, the AFAS documents loaded there. But these are public. These are open to anyone. There is nothing hidden. Yeah, we started an intranet, but because we'll have our own physical, locally based at the Secretariat document management system, all the confidential and sensitive documents will be, I think, loaded locally and not on the cloud.
Okay, let's talk about your IT infrastructure. You've mentioned some of this. What services or systems do you have or do you use? You talked about the website. I'm sure you have, of course, you have a LAN, a local network, and then, but on the side of the servers or the services, what services, special services do you use? And when it comes to social media, what type of social media do you use?
I think Kenneth is the one who is most updated about the IT infrastructure at AFAS. Actually, I don't know if he's there, but if he is, he can just take over. If he isn't, I can just continue from what I know. Because the last time I was at AFAS, of course, it was in at the physically at the secretariat. It was already almost 1 year now. So there was a LAN, a Wi-Fi, and also a wired one. I think the wired one had problems. That's what I heard. And most people were using the Wi-Fi. Kenneth discovered later that there were even people outside the office who were connecting to that Wi-Fi. There was a server there. There were two servers. I think one was a real server with a Xeon processor, which was not functional at the time I was there. And there was another desktop that was used as server, as a temporary replacement.
What was it serving?
The server was just used for document sharing and archiving, I think.
It was more file server, more.
Yes, more of a file server.
Okay.
Now, in terms of workflows and processes and so on, there was nothing. There was no major application hosted on servers at AFAS. Maybe these are some of the improvements that should come in future, but for now, I don't think there is.
Email? How about your email? Is it hosted here?
The email is also hosted on using Google. Yeah.
It's hosted.
We use Google Suite.
Google Suite.
Yes.
Okay. How about the website?
Yeah, the website is hosted by it's a local company in Uganda. I think a reseller who is selling UK server service, if I remember. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If you look at the number of staff at the secretariat, how many are using laptops? How many are using desktop? Which is the biggest or smallest number? And do they take these devices at home or left at office?
It seems most people are using both. Maybe Esther can confirm that that everybody has a laptop and a desktop. So at the office, sometimes they use more the desktop. Maybe it's comfortable, but because we are very, we before the COVID-19, we were traveling a lot and going from country to country, from workshop to workshop. So you have to bring all your information with you if it's not on the cloud. So
okay.
Yeah, everyone is equipped, it seems, with the desktop and the laptop at the same time.
Okay.
Am I right,
responsible?
Yes,
Esther,
Andrew,
am I right?
you are right. And then the other point on maybe people having desktops and laptops is that you will agree with me that sometimes you receive a mail from me at midnight and you send at 2 a.m. and another one sends at 10 p.m. So sometimes we really check out our desk saying we are going home, and you reach home and you're still working. So it was inevitable that most of the officers actually have laptops that they move with for ease of
Okay.
communication.
Okay.
For us in Apas here, honestly, whether it is a Saturday or Sunday, you will see emails coming in and the others are responding.
Mm.
Well, sorry that Kenneth has moved out a bit. Actually, what he had done, I think he made a parallel appointment. There are people who are right now doing site survey
Mm.
to quote for the change of infrastructure. The topology of our internet here is wanting, according to Kenneth's ICT report management. So he recommended that we look through the current structure and see where to improve.
Mm.
We are also, right now, as Andre mentioned, we don't have a server. That computer died some time back, and then later on, some diagnosis mentioned that the software also expired, and buying a new software on an old machine was almost more risky. So we are in the process that we are going to buy a new server computer.
Mm.
The central computer used here is basically for internal file storage, for information sharing,
Mm.
and it is the risk that we got last year that now we have put passwords was that previously the IT person who was there would just allow access and making changes wouldn't require any password. So somebody went and deleted a few files and then we noted. So now Kenneth has worked on it. He has partitioned it. He has put department by department, and user accessibility has now been controlled.
Okay, that's good.
Now, yeah.
Who updates the information on your website? Who is in
Which
charge?
information?
Your website. Who updates your website?
Yeah, it's Kenneth and me at the same time, actually. But at for sometimes we hired also a consultant to revamp and to how we say that, to migrate and update the site. That was yeah, last year.
Okay. Do you have a change management policy?
No, we don't.
Don't.
That's something new I hear now.
Okay, change management policy is basically if you need to make any major changes on the system, for example, changing a server, even changing a hosting provider, what is the approval process and who's supposed to approve to ensure that someone does not just change things like Esther you mentioned. The former IT person would just assign permissions anyhow to the different, access to the different resources. So if you leave something open like that without any change controls, you expose the information. So it will be a matter of time for some critical information to cause issues, and then so you need the change management policy in place. Okay. And then, Andre, I'm sure you maintain equipment maintenance records as part of your maintenance operations.
That is Kenneth.
Yeah, sorry,
Kenneth
Kenneth
is the one who is.
Okay. Do you have a clear desk or clear screen policy defined? Esther?
No.
Do you understand how it works?
No.
Okay, clear desk policy is basically a policy that defines how people should behave after work or when they are leaving their desk. They should not leave papers scattered, their office cabinets open with documents flying all over, documents flying on the printer, they print and leave documents there. Then clear screen is that your computer, when you are not attending to it, is locked and you don't leave documents open. So these are some of the policies that shall need to be defined and communicated to all users, because someone can access what is not supposed to access, but because he has found it there really on the silver plate. You print a certain document, you leave it at the printer, someone comes and say, hey, okay, they are trying to fire me. So something like that. So in that case, he might do something that you might not really want and expose the company. Do you have a disposal policy for equipment that is obsolete?
Yes, that one is under the asset
we don't.
management. Under the asset management.
It's under asset management, with finance. Okay,
And
talking
finance.
about the physical security. How is the security here? Is the security okay? And do you have guards? Are they under contract? Do you have CCTV? You know, for surveillance of the area? Do you have controls in place when people come? They don't just enter; they have to sign somewhere. So, do you have all these things as far as physical and environmental security is concerned?
Physical security
Hmm.
is that each person using his laptop signs for it. Or yeah, the equipment we use for office, you sign for and you take charge of its safety. We have a guard, we have security guards. We are using a security firm called High Tech. And one night guard and one day guard from High Tech Detectives.
Okay.
Yes, we have an outsourced firm for security at the gate. And he also moves around doing the physical check. I have a book I have given them at the gate. I'm yet to confirm if they do what?
Use it.
If they make, because they are supposed to make each person signing and recording the asset is taken, so that when you enter with a laptop, you should know that when you are going out. But I need to confirm that that really is done in actual sense, but it is the instruction given to the security firm. And then we also have a standby employee of AFAS who stays here throughout to help us beef up the security. He is the office assistant and he has been given a room. There's a room in the boys' quarter that is vacant, so he keeps here. And whenever he's moving out of office, he moves out with the permission and with our consent, so that we know how to beef up our security besides having the high-tech security people at the gate. And office access, only a few designated people have office keys. Not everybody opens this place. But since the other private security person is always here, he's the one who normally opens, unless otherwise when he's not there, then either the administrator or another person is assigned the key and the ED.
Okay, that is fine. And this is
But
for
we
Andre.
don't have a CCTV.
You don't what? You don't have CCTV?
Not yet.
Okay, no problem. Andre, what antivirus do you use for computers to protect against malware?
Again, the best person to answer that is
You're breaking.
but from what I remember. Oh,
we seem to have
can
lost
you hear? Is it clear now?
Andre, you're singing.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello?
Yes, Andre?
You're singing.
Hello? Can you hear me? Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Is it better?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the malware system, Kenneth is the best person to answer that. But from what I remember, there were one antivirus that was used at the Secretariat, and I don't know if the license has been renewed and so on.
Esther
But,
can
yeah.
advise.
Yes, the first thing is to ensure that we have all genuine windows for updates, but we are all using Kaspersky. We have been using Kaspersky.
Is it cloud-based or standalone?
No, we buy the keys.
You buy
And
CDs?
then we buy the keys and then we install.
You install individual on each computer.
We normally use the IT or sometimes the suppliers, they come and
Okay, they come
install
with
on the
they come with a CD and they.
Yes, there is a CD.
Okay.
And then they feed in the security kits, and then we keep the CDs with us.
Okay, then the data backup. How is it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sorry guys. Hello, Andrew.
Yes, Kenny.
Sorry, I was off my desk. Yeah,
It's okay.
had a bit of some technical things I
It's
was trying
okay.
to sort out. Yeah.
Okay, I was asking Esther about the antivirus that you use and told me use Kaspersky.
Okay.
You use
We're using Kaspersky, but I'm in the process of migrating to a new antivirus. I've already discussed with management about the change, so we're yet to just do the purchase of the antivirus. The antivirus that I'm migrating to is called WebRoot. It's a cloud-based antivirus. It's all you have to do is install an agent on your computer. It's very lightweight. It's lightweight on system resources, so it is very good. Other than capacity is good, but it's very heavy on system resources. Yeah. Then another advantage of this WebRoot, it has a central cloud-based reporting tool, so I can receive alerts whenever an antivirus is detected on someone's computer. Then I can initiate even a remote scan from wherever I am and be able to do a scan on someone's computer. Then it also has Active Directory integration, in that if in an environment like in a LAN, I can be able to set policies for the antivirus on everyone's computer and can do even with website tracking and stuff. So it has very good monitoring capabilities and very good. I've tested it already and it's really good. So that's the one I want us to migrate to.
That is better, because what Esther told me, we are getting CDs, the current one, installing manually on each.
Yeah.
So actually, that's why I was going to wait for you. Okay, then how about backup? How do you perform your backups for data?
Backup, just a bit of background of our IT infrastructure. We're just revamping the whole IT infrastructure. It's poorly done. So I had, when I joined AFAS, I gave my inception report with recommendations on what we should undertake to put AFAS infrastructure as per standard. So those are the steps, and that's why we're having these technical companies come in and do a survey, so that we can be able to re-network the infrastructure. Then we like the server room, we need to have it sealed. As you know, physical security is very important. We need to have it sealed, and we need to put some cooling solution in place. Then we also recommended that we buy additional storage, because the current storage that we're using for the network share is it's running out. And I just do basic backup weekly from the network share into an external drive, and an additional drive that I have put in place here. So at least I try to take the backups every week.
Okay.
But once we have a more robust system, the ones that I've recommended, we'll have a backup additional storage where we'll do daily backups, then weekly backups, daily incremental backups. Then at the end of the week, we do a full weekly backup. Then after that, I would recommend we copy that data off. Maybe say every month we copy that and maybe keep it off-site, just for in case of, because you can't keep the same backup in the same building. So suppose there's a fire, so we'll also recommend off-site backups. So those are some of the systems that we're trying to put in place, and I'm sure within a couple months will be our first infrastructure will be as per standard.
Okay. So should I assume that you are using work group, not domain?
Yes. That's why I've actually recommended a Windows-based domain server, where when we implement it, then we can implement a domain infrastructure.
That's fine. This is for Esther. Have employees signed any non-disclosure agreements, or is it part of their contracts?
It's part of their contract.
So they are non-disclosure clauses, okay?
Yes, there is there, and of course, when on their letters of appointment, their contracts, after that disclosure, there is a phrase, and then you are asked to sign whether you are in agreement. You endorse that very contract and return, and you have to tick yes or no and sign. So the non-disclosure is within the contract.
Okay.
And also in the manual.
Okay, that's fine. Kenneth, how often do you change your network passwords, like for internet or any other resource?
For the Wi-Fi or for the access to computers?
Everything that uses a password.
Everything. Honestly, when I joined, there was not really any password policy in place, but I just encourage staff to at least have passwords on their computers. But as for how often, we have not yet implemented that. But at least the first step was at least to get people starting using passwords in the first place. Then we can now encourage them on the cycle of when like password cycle management and how often they should change their password. Yeah. So that's also something in the process there.
Okay.
I don't know why Kenneth is dodging that. Is almost becoming a nuisance. He changes passwords here. Sometimes that even me, the admin, I don't know. I have to look for him over a weekend on phone that what is the password for the Wi-Fi. That one, he changes really even without notification to the admin.
Okay.
That's for the Wi-Fi. I mean for your access to your computers.
You shall need to define a proper policy to cover the different systems and communicate you should communicate the standard of the passwords, the change schedule, and whether it's changed by the user or by the admin. So a policy has to be done as part of that.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Regarding suppliers, it's okay. What kind of redundancies do you have, Kenny, on your infrastructure, however basic it may be?
Okay. For internet, we have a redundancy. We have a failover in case of one link is down. We have a failover to a second backup.
You have a failover.
That's there.
There are different providers.
They're the same provider, but they've been apportioned in a different fiber core network, and they tell me they operate redundantly. And I've seen that when one is down, one is usually up. So I don't know how they route it on their backbone, but it works. Yeah.
Okay. And then electricity. Do you have like an inverter or a generator?
No, also that is also in my proposal. Actually, that's also one of the reasons these suppliers are coming to do a survey to see what kind of load we have on our infrastructure, because that's what I wanted to have an inverter instead of individual UPS systems. So I wanted it to be able to, it's connected to at least our the LAN cabling, so that when power is off, at least it keeps the systems up. So that's the
Also,
inverter system that some players are going to quote for.
so right now, if power goes, you are off.
We have a standby generator. That's
A
all.
generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
By generator. It's okay. And then you said you write some reports. I want to talk about something related to incidents. How common how common do you have technical incidents, and which category should you say that are most common incidents that you experience, and how do you document them, and do you produce sample reports specific to incidents?
I'll just give the incident that happened just 2 days back, where one of the staff computer crashed and the disk is completely unreadable. I've tried doing all kind of recoveries. I've even taken it to a professional data person in town and still was not able to recover.
What happened to
So
it exactly?
it crashed and the disk is just not readable at all.
Okay.
It's not readable at all. So the staff has lost all his data which was there, and he doesn't have a single backup in place. So yeah, so there was not really any way I could really help him apart from have a new hard disk purchased and installed on his computer.
Have you written a report for that? Do you have a record that someone can refer to?
No, I just finished working on it yesterday, so maybe I should document that.
Yeah, one of the requirements here is that every incident should be recorded, because this is part of your business case to make certain changes. Now, if you are talking of backup, ideally, you can justify that such an incident, yes, it would have happened, but at least we could be able to restore the data. Okay. How about theft-related incidents, theft of devices, whether from people when they are outside or?
I've not experienced that as yet, but again, also in my report, I'd recommended a CCTV system in place to cover the compound. Yeah, so that's also something to follow up with management. Yeah, but I've not experienced any specific incident yet. Then also on the part of documentation of those incidents, I was in the process of setting up a help desk system, but it's very resource intensive. So that would have been a proper way to be able to document some of these incidents. I would just file a ticket, or I ask the user to file a ticket, so that is documented and we can track that issue and also have that and download the reports later. So yeah, maybe once we have a proper server in place, and I can then I'll proceed with that help desk system. So that will also help with documentation later on.
Okay. Have you raised any issue or plan regarding technical audits? Okay, because the way you are talking, you are looking at improving your system to, a more robust system. Do you have any plans of performing technical audits on these systems? Is it part of the plan?
Once we have it in, once it's in place, yeah, definitely I'll have to perform audits on it. Yeah.
Okay. I think one more thing that I'll need to. Okay, I think that is it. I think that is it. I don't know if you have any question. The only thing I will need, Anita will follow up on this, that I will need to look at some of the policies, for example, that operational HR manual, to see exactly what is per se, that I can write a proper gap analysis report to write a proper gap analysis report that you shall use for your implementation. Unless you have any question.
No.
So we will have, yeah, first, thank you very much, Andrew, for the gap analysis exercise that we've been doing today. It's very eye-opening and gives us more insight about what needs to be improved, even if I think we have already started many of the improvement processes.
Yes.
Now it seems you will prepare a training after the report. Then we will have a training, and that's the intent.
Yes.
Do you think we should invite also the country fora, who are really our arms, and these are the people who are really doing the work and in the field, in the countries? Do we need to invite the people who are dealing with IT from this country fora?
Yes, you should. 100% agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Because these are the operators, and they need to. They are like the owners on those branches who need to take lead. Okay, so they really need to be part of the training.
Okay.
Yes.
Andre.
Yes.
Andre and Andrew.
Yes, sir.
This is Jerry. Sorry, I joined in late.
Okay.
Because of the internet challenges here in Uganda, somehow I didn't get the communication. But I've gained a lot from where I started in from, and
Yes.
I look forward to participating in the training that you're organizing. Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So Jerry is the MNE and L officer at AFAS. Just to introduce him.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So when is that training going to happen? Is it within 2 weeks? From what I understood. Oh yeah, I think Anita is there.
Anita is there.
Hello everyone, I've been listening in. Now, thank you for asking that. It's dependent on how fast we can get, because the training is going to be for all organizations sitting in, and then we'll have breakaway sessions. So it would depend on the availability of all 5 organizations. Just to bring to your attention, we've not yet done the gap analysis for FARA, very unresponsive from the beginning. So that is holding us back, and maybe I will take this off out of this meeting, Andre, maybe I'll send an email, give you a call, and we find a solution to that, because now they're going to hold us back further. We wanted to start the training as early as next week, because the consulting team may not be available after 2nd week of February. They have commitments elsewhere. So we're thinking of starting the training in the next 2 weeks. But the challenge is getting all 5 organizations. Each training, we intend to have it for two days, 1.5 days, 2 days maximum. So for ISO 34,000, for 30,401, 2 days or 1.5 days, depending on how we interact and how fast the trainers can get the content out there. And then 27,001, also 2 days or 1.5 days, depending on still the availability. So I wanted to share a schedule, but I don't know how to do it. Maybe you can advise me, Andre. You've been in touch with these other organizations. I don't know whether internally you can do something to get them together. If we can have 4 days, 4 days of this training, and so that we can complete.
So you mean 4 days for each organization, 4 days, so we'll be
No.
all
We need
together.
all together. Okay, for each standard, we need 2 days where we'll have breakaway sessions, where we'll have the training, where we'll have our mini workshops, back and forth, so that we can get this training done. We'll need 2 days for ISO, one ISO, and then we need 2 days for the 27,000 as well.
So during these 2 days, Farah, Afas, Azareka, Koraf, and the others will be in the same training, but there will be some breakout room sessions where
there'll be some
each
breakaway
organization
sessions.
will
Have to do some work on their own,
separately.
or we could just partner too. But I think for our discussion, we noticed that some of the aspects would have to be individual organizations. So it's good when you say that, can we bring in members from the different areas that may be directly impacted by this training, so that AFAS could have a variety of people. Farah may have their own people, but in that breakaway session, they can discuss and come up with with whatever the trainers want. I won't preempt the training, what the trainers would want, but we need 2 days per standard. But looking at the schedule, it's proving to be, I've been trying to draw it out, but based on the past, it's been difficult to get everybody together at the same time. So I wanted to ask if, Andre, you can work out something for us with the different organizations, and we can work with that.
Okay, let's try. 2 days with this organization is a bit complicated to gather them for 2 days, but we can always try. 1 day and a half, you say minimum.
Yeah.
And continuous, or can it be split in
continuous would be ideal. Would be ideal.
Okay. I think we'll need to discuss with higher management, to discuss with other higher management to make this happen. Because if it's between us, the technical persons, I'm not sure it will happen. There are too many priorities from different sides, and yeah.
Okay, so would you agree? Should I share a tentative schedule, so that every organ can see the days that we have tentatively we tentatively think can work? Because I'm also looking at the trainer's schedule as well, the consultant. So I can share something, and then we can have a collective feedback from everybody. If it's not feasible to have all of them together, then we can find a solution.
Yeah, but,
okay,
but just keep in mind that people are more available between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
I think also my team is available within those days.
Yeah, Monday and Friday is not possible for most of these people.
Yes, as well as the consultants. So let me look at those 3 days that you've given, and I'll share a schedule as soon as possible to accommodate both the institutions and the consultants, and then we can start the discussion. We wanted to first have the gap analysis for all, but it's not been possible for Farah. Maybe Andre, as the lead, you can take this on. I don't know if my consultants will have more time after this week for the gap analysis to finish off Farah.
Okay, let me ask Ben again.
Yeah,
because Ben proposed the end of the year because he says he's going to take it from his leave time. I told him you should. Why are you going to do some additional work while you're on holiday? He said, I really don't have time for doing
the consultants were all out of, they could not do it. And I didn't even see that date of end of the year. If he had sent it an email, maybe we would have organized something, but I know myself and the consultants were away. So we would not have been able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you can let us know, we can squeeze in
Yeah,
one day as early as next week, maybe Tuesday, and then we can be a day before the training. But then that means they'll get their report after the training.
Okay. Let me discuss with Ben then.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank
Yeah,
you,
it's you. Thank
Andrew.
you.
Thank you, Andrew, for the
Thank you.
wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I think
Bye-bye.
Esther has raised her hand.
Yes. Thank you, Tim, for this work. I just had a few comments to make that I hope I'm not antagonizing my colleague, but yes, Andrew will agree with me. Sometimes we write a report, we write a recommendation, but one of the major factors that we have that sometimes hinder these things, the factors, one of them is funding. Sometimes we may say, yes, we want to put CCTV camera. When you go to the approved work plan and budget, there is no money for it. What do we do? Is it a failure on management or is it a failure on what? So some of these things, for instance, Kenneth is saying he has come, he has recommended this, he has recommended that. The challenge comes when some of these things were not consolidated in the work plan and budget. Sometimes it becomes hard to start from the blue. So I will still request him maybe to go check with the finance department, check with procurement, and see that all the items he's talking about, he has actually fed into the other bigger picture of AFAS so that it can be consolidated and work moves smoothly. Then on the issues of the HR manual, I suppose you have our governance operation manuals. You may have also gone through the constitution, because in some of these documents is where you will explicitly see the relevance and the actions, the functions of the board to AFAS. Now this is so. Are we only talking of the CADIP XP, or we are looking at AFAS after even the CADIP XP for program? And then I will also request you to study the AFAS strategy vis-a-vis the existing ICKM strategy. I think that will be able to give you some feedback, because what we have spoken may have been just a quarter of what we expected you to have gotten out of a first gap analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. We take note of that. Anita will write to you to request the necessary information we need to help us read and understand better.
Just a quick one. Esther, you asked if the ISO 27000 is a CAD, is it AFAS or CAD-P members, right?
Now, what I'm saying, AFAS has other smaller projects, smaller programs within the bigger AFAS strategy.
Yeah.
So I was asking, is this specific to the implementing? For example, we may not reach all the 21 countries with the available fund, but we may have picked 10. So when we are doing this, including the training, do we require the 21 or with the specific 10 CADIP XP members that are benefiting from this project?
My understanding of this project is it's an introductory, right?
Yes.
We are not certifying AFAS or the CAD-P member organizations. We're introducing you to the standard. You understand?
Okay.
Then
Yes.
later on, should you decide that this is what we need and we need to implement, then there will be certification which will trickle down to that, or wherever AFAS is, the standard will apply, because it will become a wider thing. Right now, it's just an introductory kind of standard. We are not digging deeper. We are bringing you to, want you to understand what it is, what is going to benefits of it to the organization, and how you can use it in your daily working, improve best practice and all that. So it will be entirely up to AFAS after this to look into how you do things, appreciate the new that you've learned, and maybe call upon NIDA again to implement the standard itself and get certified, where all the nitty-gritty will be touched, where you have an audit, so that at the end of the audit, you know ABCD is straight, EFC is crooked. This is where we have to improve before you're certified. Mesh, am I right?
Very
If
right.
I put it that way. So right
Yes.
now it's appreciating what ISO 27000 and 30,401 are. It just, you know, it's like, it's an eye opener. How
Yeah,
can we
sure.
do things better on what we have? That's how I understand it. The terms
Yes,
of the
I've already appreciated it. It's good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe
Thank you.
Andre will push for AFAS and the other members to have the whole certification open up to be audited and certified, and it adds value, huge value, to have all these on, even on to have the certificate and also to do things right. As well as I pray that in the future that you AFAS will be certified under the basic standard, the mother standard, which is 9001 2015, because it encompasses all standards. So, but once you have these two, it will come easier when you're getting the mother standard as well. Normally it's the first standard and these ones will be followed. Andre?
Yes.
I think that was
Yeah,
a peak.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for this session, and we look forward for the next one, which
Okay.
will be the training. Yes.